Yeah, life is more meaningful when you have purpose. Mm-hmm. There's a quote, some people have a job, some people have a career, some people have a calling. Which one do you think is going to be the most motivated? The one with a calling.
The antidote to shame is compassion. So to that end, whether you eat the food, the turkey or not, like you're going to experience shame. So belonging is the focal point here.
Conscious couples, business partners, and individuals, welcome to the Conscious Couples podcast, where we share our life, love story, and relationship expertise to help you consistently cultivate the most magnificent relationship possible.
Never again will you feel hopeless and alone in your intimate relationship challenges. We'll help you have the courage to be your authentic self, communicate effectively, and constructively resolve conflict.
Having accumulated thousands of hours coaching, speaking, podcasting, and hosting live events with conscious couples all over the world, Alan and I are here to guide you in all things relationships.
Thank you again for tuning into the one place where it's not about you or me, it's about the we. Conscious couples and individuals, welcome back to another very special episode of the Conscious Couples podcast. Today we have episode 215. Are you and your partner practicing these health pillars? We're on a bit of a health kick lately. Mm-hmm. And this is technically a part 3 of couples that get fit together, stay together. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a little different. So before we get into this episode, I like to always remind everybody why we are here. We are here to improve our intimate relationship from the inside out. Who wants to be at the top of the mountain, not in love?
And not healthy.
And not healthy. Conscious couples and individuals. Ladies first.
We are here, and my intention for this episode in particular is to make sure that by the end of this episode, you and your partner have at least identified one area of your health and fitness that needs a little bit more work, because ultimately what the stats are showing is that when couples work together and have like a shared mission with respects to health, they actually have such a better quality of life and such a better quality of relationship. So that's what my intention is for today.
On the last episode, we went through my 7 pillars of fundamental fitness. And Emilia and I have since reconvened, and we sort of created a love child between my pillars and hers. And today we're going to share hers. And in the notes, the show notes of this episode, wherever you're listening to this, watching this, there will be a digital asset of We Fitness. Mm-hmm. Picture a clock. We Fitness will be in the center. And clockwise, we go through the pillars. So we already talked about mind, sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, mobility, breathwork, and supplementation. If you have not listened to the last episode, go do that now. We hammered through those pretty quickly.
Very quickly.
But you gotta download this digital asset and check in with you and your partner on how well you're doing at these, because these are critical.
Okay.
So, sweetheart, you had several that we didn't mention in the last episode that we wanted to touch on today.
Correct. Okay. So, but before I even get into those, I want to bring some stats in, because at the end of the day, and I'll also link this research study in the show notes, should you be of interest. Like I said, shout out to the nerds there. When we have research, it helps us understand not only where we're at, but how big and prevalent of an issue this might be. So why I want to present these is because health and fitness is very triggering for a lot of people. And I think that the stats show how much it does need work. So there was a Harvard study that looked at couples who are working on their health and their fitness, okay? Only 12% achieved ideal cardiovascular health metrics. Mm-hmm. 80% of couples were both in the non-ideal health categories. Now, granted,
that means 8 out of 10.
It is a lot. However, we are all able to do something, a little bit something every single day to increase closer and closer to the ideal health categories. And I think that that's actually really exciting. So
I'm going to call this out. I was, as I mentioned in the last episode, a fitness coach for a long time. If you're not prioritizing your health, you're making a huge mistake. we want to help you rectify that, remedy that. And it can make your relationship better too.
So much and so deeply. So the first one out of the 5 that I added to this, which you'll see in the digital asset called the We Fitness. The first one is mindfulness. And I deeply believe in mindfulness as someone who is in the ins and outs studying mental health, because mindfulness at its core is being thoughtful in every single thing that you do and applying that level of mind power to what it is that you do, meaning your health choices, the behaviors that you engage in, and deeply what it is that you're doing, to the extent even to the breath.
So what's an example of someone, hypothetical person, who is not being mindful? They have low mindfulness. Okay, so we're going to do green, yellow, red. Download the digital asset in the show notes and give it green if you're doing well, yellow if you're doing okay, red if you're sucking. Mindfulness. Give us what green looks like. Give us what red looks like.
So I kind of poked fun at this in our last episode. If you are a mouth breather, you are likely not mindful. And the reason why I share that is because someone who is mindful will breathe through their nose because they are more aware as to the positive effects of breathing through your nose for your inhale and exhaling through your mouth. So if you're just constantly inhaling in this hypothetical person, they're actually introducing more gas into their body, so which is impacting their nervous system.
Right. This is overlapping a bit with breath work. In terms of mindfulness, what I picture of someone that's red with mindfulness is they're kind of on autopilot. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Their car's a mess. Their house is a mess. Their desktop icons are a mess. It's like a mindfulness person is someone who is very methodical and conscientious and is constantly present in what they're doing, building toward a bigger, better, brighter future.
Right. So other ways you can see this is, for example, our posture. If we're a mindful person, we're mindful of if we're slouching over at our desk or at dinner with our loved ones, or do we have great posture? That's application of mindfulness when it comes to that aspect. Another example is, to that degree, your pace and how fast you're walking around. So if it's a busy day, which most people are busy, right? But are you mindful at the pace to which you are stepping? I know that sounds silly, but someone who is mindfully knowing when to shift out of that busyness and when they can slow down just like their pace of when they're walking, that is going to like exponentially increase your longevity over time, just simply because you're decreasing the amount of stress that your body is sending to your brain to be in.
So 2 images here before we move on to the next one. One is you see someone slouched over, running as fast as they can with like a carrot in front of them and just not knowing why they're running on the treadmill. And the other one is present. They have AirPods, noise canceling in, they're in nature, and they're going for a nice run, and they're fully present, nose breathing. That's a good metaphor. The other piece of this too, non-mindful people are always on their phone. Yeah. They're constantly distracted. You and I you got a new sign on the door that says I'm flowing. And Emilia and I try really hard not to pop each other's focus and not to distract each other constantly.
So that's the application of how much you're kind of popping my focus bubble.
What is?
Your application of mindfulness, like how you come in and out of my office. That's someone who's mindful. When that sign is on, my door is closed, that's someone who's mindful.
Yeah, and whereas if I didn't even notice the sign, that's someone who's not mindful, right? Okay,
cool.
What's next?
Okay, so the second one that I'm going to introduce is purpose. So those studies that we look at again and again, what is shown, someone who has purpose and feels like there's something, they have a unique specific role in this world, in their life, etc. Like they are going to be that person who is driven towards something. And the way in which our brain orients to purpose is so wildly different than someone who is purposelessness or has no purpose.
Okay.
So picture, for example, your partner. This often happens in couples. As soon as they have a kid, they have purpose now to go fight the big fight. But prior to that, their purpose was meager in comparison because it was just a job that their purpose was. It wasn't a career that they were getting after. It wasn't a legacy that they were trying to build. But now, since there's a child into the mix, they're willing to get after the day so differently.
Yeah, life is more meaningful when you have purpose. There's a quote, some people have a job, some people have a career, some people have a calling. Which one do you think is going to be the most motivated? The one with a calling. So just as a test, I want the listeners to know, I know you probably didn't want to do this, but I want to ask you this because I want the listeners to see that of all the people I've ever met in my life, I'm 37 now, you have the most purpose. You also have the most mindfulness. This makes sense, right? So what is your purpose on this earth, my love?
My purpose is to evolve human consciousness by breaking one limiting belief at a time.
Okay, that's absolute clarity. And the way in which she does that, this podcast episode is one building block toward that.
Correct.
You are raising people's consciousness right now, evolving human consciousness right now. So if you have any limiting beliefs, how dare you? We're going to work on that. Okay. So purpose. Awesome.
And the last thing that I'm going to say on this, we have all seen when someone retires, they immediately start declining.
Yeah.
Every aspect of the brain has zero purpose to move and develop better brain cells to help their body get better.
Yeah, it's someone without goals, someone not building anymore, someone who retires and their brain and their body starts to wither away. Literally. If you don't use it, you lose it. It's like if I put my arm in a sling, it's going to get weaker.
Right. So most people spend their entire life going to work, eventually to retire. That is a death sentence to your relationship because as soon as you actually hit that retirement, then that's usually where people hit their existential crisis. Like, I don't know what to do.
Right?
Yeah. And then ultimately you start declining. And how that impacts couples is a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But that's usually when divorce rates skyrocket because people lose their entire sense of self and identity.
Yeah, isn't it? And again, I would have to research this, but divorce rates are really high in the very young years, like early 20s, and also really high after retirement.
Exactly.
Right? Because of the empty nesting and the lack of purpose when the kids leave the nest.
Yeah.
That's what that's called.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
exactly. And that it's a whole thing. So, okay, then the third one is belonging. So if you and I are feeling a sense of belonging in our own communities, so I have Evolve Ventures and I feel a deep sense of belonging.
What do you call your people?
Evolvers.
Nice.
We are evolvers.
I call them next levelers, but it's not a big deal. And then we call you conscious couples and singles.
Yeah, exactly. So we have belonging within the communities that we've developed.
We couldn't find belonging anywhere else, so we created our own.
it. Exactly. And to that end, when you don't have a sense of belonging and you feel maybe purpose is directly connected to belonging, ultimately, when you have purpose, that's where a lot of people will develop friendships at work because work is their purpose.
Who's your favorite evolver? I'm joking. Don't ask that on camera.
Cute.
Me. All right, keep going though.
To that end, I think like there are certain communities that will bring both purpose and belonging. So oftentimes they come hand in hand. And that's what I really deeply hope. And I know that you and I have cultivated at the We and at Evolve and at NLU. And so there's belonging embedded within the purpose of your own journey as a conscious couple.
And it goes deeper than that too, because when you have a sense of belonging, you also have a sense of identity. And your identity leaks into your actions. So if you identify as an athlete and you're a next level warrior in the next level 10 pound and 10 week challenge, you're much more likely to work out.
Exactly.
We just had someone join recently into our next level fitness accountability group. And if you identify as a next level warrior, you're going to do hard things.
I love that.
You're going to get after it. It's awesome. It's the best. So belonging, you said, was the epicenter of human condition. So you believe Maslow's hierarchy of needs was off, and you believe belonging should have been more important.
100%.
You taught me that, babe. I couldn't agree more. And I've created that. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because belonging, like most people will, and this is the most basic example, if you and your partner go to a family Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc., you'll likely delay eating and scarfing down that food that looks delicious, even though you might be starved or hungry. I have been waiting or fasting all day to eat that food. Why? It's because belonging. And ultimately, belonging matters more than you shoving your face with
Go deeper.
food.
It's belonging. Unpack that.
So the deeper layer underneath that is your family, right? There's certain rules and conditionings of behavior that require you to fit in. You have to wait to eat. So there's stupid little things like that, but here's the antidote.
I just had this picture, this image of you, like, and I, the turkey's in the corner, and you and I just stick our head up, like, what? And we have, like, we have turkey all over us. I'm funny. Obviously being playful.
Obviously, I don't eat turkey.
Yeah,
so
no,
that
I
wouldn't
know.
be
Yeah,
the case,
of course,
but vegan stuffing for it.
Exactly, vegan turkey. No, but there are social norms, and this is tribal. Like, you don't want to be the one ostracized from the tribe.
Right, because what happens then? Shame kicks in. Bianca and I at Evolve Ventures, we just did an episode on this, which is where Evolve's meditation challenge is going to come in the next 30 days. It's going to be a compassion-based Evolve challenge. So that's creating belonging, because it's number one thing, like the antidote to shame is compassion. So to that end, whether you eat the food, the turkey or not, like you're going to experience shame. So belonging is the focal point here.
You can't go to any holiday without feeling some shame. I'm joking.
No, it's good. It's good.
Real quick, I didn't get a chance to vote. And I just voted, on the Evolve.
What did you vote?
So I ended up voting for the fitness. What were the options? It was meditation.
Meditation was one of them.
Fitness was one of them, I think.
Something like that. I don't know, because I didn't
just
create
voted,
the poll.
and B said I was too late. So you guys already chose the meditation one. I
did.
didn't vote for that.
We
That
did.
I'm certain.
Yeah,
of.
you didn't get your vote in time.
I didn't get my vote in. It's all good. Okay, so
We might
anyways.
shame you. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so belonging is that pillar. Like when you don't have belonging, this is why the loneliness epidemic, and when you and your partner don't feel connected, and if there's not belonging in the we, let's say, for example, you have totally different cup fillers or totally different values. That's going to create a conflict, but how you create belonging amongst the difference between the two of you is absolutely everything. And if you don't feel like you can do your own thing, maintain your own individuality within the we, that's going to be an issue long term.
And for everyone out there watching or listening, you prioritize your growth over belonging. And that has likely gotten you identified as the weirdo. Like, most of my clients, pretty much all my clients, they struggle to fit in social norms. And one of the reasons why is because a lot of these social norms are not rational at all. They make no sense. And if you have super high goals and big aims in life, you automatically don't belong statistically. Only 4% of people have clear written goals. And so for anyone out there watching or listening, the fact that you feel like a misfit in most rooms is why you belong here. And the next one is what?
So the next one is nature. So nature is everything, personally. But when it comes to our health and fitness, studies continue to show, and at increasing levels, when it comes to overall fitness, health, happiness, etc., and fulfillment, those who have less exposure to nature are less healthy, less fit. Like the numbers are staggering. And so the more we can connect to nature, going out in woods, going outside, getting daylight exposure, getting exposure to the elements, that those couples are going to have a healthier life.
In Japan, they call this forest bathing, something like that, right? And that's actually been prescribed by doctors in Japan to just go walk in the woods for an extended period of time, which is really good for your mental health. Okay.
100%.
What else we got?
Quite literally, I'll have clients, if they're really struggling in their mental health, I'll say, let's take our next call while you're walking.
In nature.
100%.
That's awesome.
That's so important.
Yeah.
So important. Okay.
That's really cool.
Nature. Next and last is flow. You love talking about flow.
Yes.
And so I want to give you the podium to talk about flow, and I'm going to pepper in specifically why it is so important.
It's so challenging to explain, but essentially, if you like going to concerts, if you like going to sporting events, what they're creating is what's called group flow. And there's a individual flow, and then there's group flow.
And there's a thing called couples flow that I'm going to talk about here.
How would I even begin? Okay, flow is essentially a optimal state of consciousness where your productivity and performance increase, focus increases, time slips away. And for you and I in the gym this morning. So Emilia and I, when we're in the gym, I'm always optimizing for flow. And I'll say to her, what are we optimizing for? She'll say flow, and we'll go into the gym. We're weird. But anyway, so today, the first phase of flow to get into flow actually requires challenge and frustration. So the beginning of our workouts, I'm often kind of riled up, and then we get into flow. If you'll notice lately, I've been trying, we give each other real-time feedback. We have hand signals of this means great form. I try to correct your form enough to where you can stay in flow and have deep, deliberate practice, but not enough to break you out of flow. And there have been times where I've broken you out of flow because it was too many interruptions. Microfeedback is what this is called. Flow is the best way to have amazing brain chemistry. So it's the best antidote. There's been so many studies on it improving depression. Runner's high.
Literally.
Runner's high, creative flow. Like I've been doing a mile a day every day for 15, 16, 17 days, something like that. And after my hardest runs, I have this runner's high where I feel amazing, and I'm also pumped because it was super
surge of hormones that are really important to have in the bloodstream. So couples flow is essentially when both partners are in flow. You just mentioned gym, but flow in general. This is a pillar that's so important to have on the individual. And then when you can have collective flow, it's called behavioral concordance. I won't get into the nerdy details on this, but when two partners can flow together, not apart, but flow together, that is like individual flow on steroids. It is the best thing. And that's why, like, when you and your partner go on a walk and you lose a sense of time, and it's just the best experience ever.
You remember when we went on that adventure race?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was an incredible flow.
Yeah.
Also, on these episodes, we're trying to be in flow as well.
Right.
We don't always hit flow,
right,
but sometimes we do.
Especially not when my hair hits the microphone.
The microphone, yeah. So there's something called a challenge skills sweet spot where it has to be enough of a challenge to where it excites you and ignites you, but it can't be so much of a challenge that you get demoralized.
And flow, it actually helps to reduce so much stress. That's why I'm really glad that you mentioned depression. So flow staves off stress, like a bad toxic type of stress.
Well, there's eustress and there's distress.
Exactly.
So
the bad toxic type of stress.
So you're referring to cortisol spikes, distress,
adrenaline, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. Hormones that are essentially going to decrease your overall longevity and the telomeres that help your DNA produce for you to have a longer, healthier life.
How does someone know if they are in distress or eustress? And eustress is eustress. Eustress is the runner's high you get after a challenging run. Distress is like toxic fighting.
Yeah, honestly, I want to give that back to you because I do feel like you've studied that line far more than I have, and I don't know how to communicate.
But from a ventral vagal place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Okay, so from a ventral vagal state, essentially the difference between that distress is when your body feels like it's redlining all the time. So
redlining.
Redlining. Yeah. So essentially you're either too much in what's called a sympathetic activation. So it's like everything is online too much. This is where burnout usually kicks in. So you're in distress for too long. So that's where chronic fatigue kicks in. Or you're in a dorsal collapse state where you just feel like it's way too overwhelmed and you just want to curl up in a ball. That line, those are the not healthy types of stress. The eustress, which is, it's right on the top of sympathetic activation, what's called ventral vagal states, which is essentially your body, all of its hormones are activated and primed for you to go under tension. So it's like over time, you have some degree of tension. This is where your challenge skill sweet spot comes in. But ultimately, there's eventual alleviation of that so that you can come back into a ventral vagal state. So that's the good type of stress. That's eustress, eustress.
Okay, what are the signs? So if you think back to the beginning of this episode when I said the person struggling on the treadmill to get the carrot, metaphorically, that's distress. Eustress is the person who's mindful with their AirPods in, running at a solid pace with purpose, mindfully and intentionally.
But not forever.
But not forever, because eventually it transitions to distress. If you were to do a workout, you and I together tomorrow, there would be a point where the beginning would be challenging, and then we'd hit flow, and then there'd be a point in the workout, maybe an hour in or however long, where it's like, this is now counterproductive.
Right.
This is now destructive, not constructive.
Exactly.
And I think it's very important for everyone to kind of understand, and even with conversations. So you want to talk about fighting with your partner. What's the difference between a healthy discord that's constructive and a fight? Oh. The healthy discord that's constructive is leading somewhere better.
We just talked
and
about
you're
it.
in flow. Constructive discord versus destructive fighting. We should do an episode on that at some point.
We did say that last night, that the way in which that was one of my gratitudes. So Alan and I do the gratitude game every single night, where essentially he and I share both 3 gratitudes with each other. And one of my gratitudes was, we had a really challenging conversation last night, but it turned to be super constructive. And I said, babe, like, I'm so grateful that it doesn't matter what type of conflict we have, we always create a constructive conflict out of the equation. And that is a master skill. So maybe that's not only in a podcast, but maybe our next event, potentially.
Yeah, okay, so let's wrap this up. If you haven't downloaded the worksheet, there's going to be definitions on this, correct? So we're going to have the 12 in a clock, and then we're going to have our definitions, just like in the conscious love languages.
Sure, okay. We can do that.
Awesome.
You and I need to make sure that they're aligned before I produce that.
We shall. We have until Monday, so we should be good.
Okay.
But yeah, so download that. At very least, do it yourself. Sit down with your partner and just go 1 through 12 and do green, yellow, red on each. And then read the definitions if you don't know what they are. So let's go through all of them right now. You have them all right there.
Okay, so if you're driving and you can't see this, we're going to have you imagine a clock. And so I'm going to literally say 12 o'clock so that you know where on the clock this is.
Can we start with
1? Okay.
Yep.
1 is mindfulness.
Yep.
2 is breath work. 3 is purpose. 4 is hydration. 5 is belonging. 6 is nutrition. 7 is nature. 8 is mobility. 9 is training, 10 is supplementation, 11 is flow, and 12 is sleep.
Okay. If you are green in all of those, you are we fit. You and your relationship is unbelievably fit. So do this with your partner. Figure out where your reds are versus their greens versus your reds. I think I just said the same thing. But the mismatches are happening. Mindfulness is more of a focus for Emilia than it is for me. There's certain ones on there that are more of a focus for me than Emilia. But if we want the we to be as strong as possible, we have to be on point with all 12 of these. It's a full-time job. Fitness is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Health and fitness.
It's the best investment, though.
The best investment you can make, hands down. The bottom, health, wealth, and love. Health is at the bottom. So this is the end of the little mini-series of the Conscious Couples podcast, parts 1, 2, and 3 about health and fitness. In case you can't tell, we love it. Obsessed with it, for sure. And I'm excited for this, too, because I want you and I to do this, green, yellow, red, and figure out where I'm off and where you're off and how to get even better. Okay, we have an event coming up.
Okay, so our next event, this is inspired by the one that we had done. Similar topic, different gender. This was event 54, but this topic is event 58, going to be hosted on April 16th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, quick time change. The top 3 things women struggle with in their relationship. So we had done in our relationship talks event 54, the top 3 things that men struggle with in their relationship. We're going to do a female-focused, what women struggle with in their relationship.
Okay, excellent. Also, if you want relationship talks coaching, we're on fire right now. We've got several clients doing the hybrid model where she coaches the woman, I coach the man. They are flourishing, building toward their bigger, better, brighter future together. As always, it's not about you or me. It's about the we. We will talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Conscious Couples podcast. We love connecting with the Conscious Couples community, so please check the show notes to connect with us and say hello on social media.
If you and your partner resonated with this episode, please leave us a 5-star review at the link in the show notes and share this with someone you love. Until next time, it's not about you or me, it's about the we. We'll talk to you next time.